Why doesn't anyone live in Montana anymore? Let's clarify something up front. It's not entirely correct to claim that people dislike living in Montana. Plenty of individuals are drawn to the state's breathtaking landscapes, outdoor activities, and a much more relaxed pace of life. So relaxed that it's almost in slow motion. If New York City's lifestyle is as fast as a jet, Montana's is more like your grandma with bunions shuffling along a cobblestone street. For those who aren't familiar, Montana is a state situated in the western part of the United States, celebrated for its awe-inspiring natural scenery, expansive wilderness, and rugged terrain. Despite these picturesque settings, Montana has one of the smallest populations in the nation, with just over 1 million residents, making it the 43rd most populous state. In terms of population density, it ranks 48th, with only about 7 people per square mile. There are various factors contributing to this, ranging from geographic to economic to social. In this video, we'll break down the 10 reasons why Montana's population remains so low. Ready? Let's dive in. Number 10. Geographical isolation. This factor also popped up when we examined Wyoming and Alaska in similar videos. They're somewhat removed from major urban centers. It's one thing if a city is isolated from other large cities. It's another when an entire state lacks proximity to significant metropolitan areas. This geographical isolation leads to several issues, one of the most significant being the challenge of attracting large industries that employ a substantial workforce. While there have been some small tech startups moving into areas like Billings in recent years, there hasn't been a significant boom. However, if you know anything about Montana, most locals are perfectly content with that. In my view, Montana is one of those places that should be left undisturbed, similar to national parks where there are strict rules against developing large hotels or other infrastructure. The same could be said for Montana. But it's not just businesses. The isolation also makes it difficult for people to access the state and its resources, making it less appealing to potential future residents. Number 9. Harsh climate. Montana isn't exactly known for having gentle weather. The state experiences extreme climatic conditions, with frigid winters and scorching summers. These severe weather patterns make living and working in Montana challenging, which can deter people from considering it a permanent home. We touched on this when discussing Wyoming. The harsh climates and rough terrains of some states meant they were often bypassed by early settlers who preferred to continue westward to places like Oregon, Washington, California, and even Utah, where the land and weather were more hospitable. Although that was long ago, it certainly slowed Montana's growth. Number 8. Limited job opportunities. Montana's economy is relatively small, offering fewer job opportunities. If you're looking for work outside of fast food or retail, you'll likely need to explore fields like forestry, mining, or agriculture. You might find yourself working as a ranch hand, mucking out stalls, and hoping for a weekly shower. Number 7. Limited access to healthcare. Montana is a vast state, the 4th largest in the U.S., but it has a limited number of medical facilities, especially in rural areas. This limited access to healthcare can make it difficult for residents to receive medical treatment when needed, which is particularly concerning for older individuals or those with chronic health conditions. Many people don't consider this aspect, but it's tough to relocate to a rural area when you have a medical condition requiring regular treatment. Imagine having to drive 5 hours to reach a hospital for an hour-long procedure. It's not that Montana lacks quality healthcare professionals, they do a great job. But when states are rated for healthcare, accessibility is a major factor, and Montana's vastness and limited number of clinics and hospitals work against it. Number 6. Lack of diversity. This issue is frequently mentioned in surveys and often sparks the most discussion. Why would a lack of diversity discourage someone from moving to an area? There are several reasons. One that comes to mind is food diversity. I enjoy trying different cuisines, and without a strong Hispanic community, for instance, it's unlikely you'll find great local taco joints. The same goes for pho or other international dishes. Another reason is that when people relocate, they often seek out at least a few people with similar backgrounds, providing a sense of connection and community. This doesn't mean you want to isolate yourself from the broader community, but Montana is predominantly white, with limited racial and cultural diversity. Number 5. Rural lifestyle. Montana is a rural state, with small towns and isolated communities scattered across its vast expanse. This rural way of life can make it difficult for residents to access the resources and services they might have taken for granted in more urbanized areas. While Montana does have cities, they are relatively small. Billings is the largest, with about 115,000 residents, followed by Missoula with less than 75,000, Great Falls with around 60,000, and Bozeman with just over 50,000. To put that in perspective, Los Angeles, one of the largest cities in the U.S., has a population of about 4 million, with the metro area approaching 13 million. So, if you're looking for a bustling urban environment, Montana may not be the place for you. However, if you can appreciate small, rural towns, it could be an excellent place to live, though it's not for everyone. Number 4. Limited entertainment and cultural venues. As we've just covered, Montana lacks large cities, which typically offer a variety of entertainment options, such as concert venues, museums, and theaters. The small population means there's not much of that here. If you're someone who enjoys these activities, Montana might not be a good fit. Personally, I'm not much for museums or concert halls, but I do enjoy a good amusement park and the occasional bar where country music isn't on heavy rotation. For those who do value cultural amenities, the lack of them in Montana could be a deal-breaker. Watch for the comments on this video. There will likely be plenty of Montanans suggesting we need to build more museums to keep people away. Number 3. High cost of living. Montana has a relatively high cost of living compared to other states in the region. This higher cost can make it challenging for people, particularly those with lower incomes, to afford living there. Some states defy the typical pattern. While Montana is somewhat cheaper than places like California or New York, it's not drastically so. It's not as affordable as Mississippi, Arkansas, or even Missouri. One thing I do appreciate about Montana is that while property might be more expensive than you'd expect, it often comes with a sizable lot, sometimes an acre or more. So, if you're looking for a large property, Montana could be a good option. Still, many people are put off by the relatively high cost of living. On average, Montana's cost of living is about 6% above the national average. While that's not the worst, and it's not prohibitively expensive, it is pricier compared to neighboring states. Number 2. Limited educational opportunities. Montana doesn't have a plethora of large universities like some other states. The limited access to higher education can make the state less appealing to young people seeking opportunities to advance their careers or pursue further education. Other states have numerous big, prestigious universities. Montana's universities aren't bad. They're just few and far between. Often, when students go off to college, they stay in that area afterward. I'd say about half the people I know who moved out of state for college never came back. They settled in the state where they studied. I know several in Arizona, a few in the Boston area, quite a number here in Oregon, and others scattered around the country. Universities play a significant role in population growth, both short-term and long-term. Number 1. Public perception. Montana doesn't have the most flattering reputation. It's not bad, just that it's often viewed as being empty, sparsely populated, and isolated. This perception makes it less attractive to people moving from more populated areas. While many people love the idea of remote places like Alaska, Montana, or Wyoming, a larger number prefer to be closer to a city. In conclusion, there are numerous reasons why Montana's population remains low, stemming from geographic, economic, social, and cultural factors. There's nothing inherently wrong with Montana. It just comes down to natural challenges and not being everyone's ideal place to live.